Welcome back to the Football Kingdom podcast. It is 2024. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Brandon Johnson. Along with me is Tyler Mallon. Before we get into the show, let's just take a deep breath because the Kansas City Chiefs clinched the AFC West for the 8th time in a row. And the fear of them missing the playoffs entirely is over. Harrison Butker put the team on his back on Sunday, or on his leg on Sunday, and kicked the Chiefs into the postseason. Another kind of ugly showing by a few certain players. One of them being MVS, or Marquez Valdez-Scantling. I don't know if you deserve a nickname if you are not a very good player. MVS dropping passes, whining about ball placement, getting hit in the hands on a perfect deep throw by Mahomes. The guy's a mess, and I hope that he doesn't get a snap the rest of the season. Richie James fielding a punt in his own end zone like a goofball. I can't say I've never seen it before, but I don't know the last time I've seen a player do that. But all in all, the Chiefs got a win. There's still same old. A lot of weird decisions and incompetencies by certain players on the team. But division champs yet again, and 3 seed pretty much locked in place, but gonna have an uphill battle most likely in the playoffs. What do you think of this game, Tyler?
Yeah, the punt return was very questionable. He was like 2 or 3 yards in the end zone. What are you doing, guy? But he made up for it with another good return later on in the game. So all is forgiven, I guess. But yeah, MVS should have been cut 2 weeks ago. Why on earth is he still starting? Why does Mahomes continue to trust him? So that was the first drop, because he had another deep ball. It's like a 20-yard pass at the end of the game that just went through both his hands. You know? And we're still in the same game. Everyone's asking themselves, like, why are we still going to this guy?
On that first drop, where Mahomes kind of threw the ball behind him, but he hit him, and he hit both of his hands. He should have caught it.
Both hands.
The Boo Birds were loud and clear at Arrowhead Stadium how they felt about number 11. They're tired of it. They're over it. And that play likely would have been a touchdown had he caught it. So it's frustrating. But all that aside, it was nice. It was nice to see the Chiefs kind of go vertical a few times. And kind of get back to kind of who they are. Tony Romo mentioned it quite a few times. He's like, this play is from 2018. This play is from 2019. So it's kind of nice to see the Chiefs get back to their identity and who they were. And it's funny to say in their heyday because it wasn't that long ago, but you know, when they were at the top.
Yeah, that play, the touchdown pass to Pacheco, Romo was saying that was a 2018 play, and it was an excellent play. It worked perfectly, and Pacheco was wide open. He literally ran from next to Mahomes to the end zone by himself. And that's what we've always seen the Chiefs do, is they can scheme guys open. They don't need to rely on whether guys are catching a pass or not. They're just so wide open that, they're going to be there. They're going to catch the ball, do their job. But that also has not been happening. They really haven't been, that open. But with that said, it still just goes down to these guys just need to catch the ball with 2 hands. And we're not 10-6, But yeah, as far as this game goes, I don't know. It's nice that they won. It's awesome that they've won the division, uh, of their division in 8 years in a row. But I okay, this Jake Browning guy, like I was so frustrated with this game. Like I was
Because of
more
all the third
frustrated.
downs.
Yes, I was more frustrated with this game than I was last week. Or no, you know what? I think it was the combination of the ridiculous Raiders game and this week. Came to a boiling point for me, and I'm like, this Jake Browning, because they said it during the broadcast where it was they kept, rushing the quarterback and then kind of stepping off like, oh, he's going to throw a screen pass or something, so I better go cover that. It's like they could have had 6 sacks in the first, quarter or something. Now they got 6 sacks in the fourth quarter,
Yeah, they
which was
adjusted in the
awesome.
second half for sure.
Well, it felt like it didn't come until the fourth quarter. It's like those adjustments. I'm like the whole game. I'm like, man, they just missed so many sacks on this guy. And the frustrating part is because he would not have looked as good if they would have just committed to those sacks, I guess. But there was just very questionable defensive calls, in my opinion, that I was getting frustrated with. And um, yeah, and honestly, the Chiefs could have lost this game. There could have been a much different outcome here because they weren't very aggressive. They kept kicking field goals. There was like a 4th and 2 play. I think it was that first one,
There was a couple times where
you
they should
know,
have probably gone for it.
in which, and they're smarter than us. They're the coaches. I think they knew. They're like, listen, the
That's
defense is going to
yeah,
stop this team.
it's faith in
We
your
don't
defense.
Right. We don't need to go score touchdowns the rest of this game. Buttkicker.com is going to have 19 points by himself.
Yeah.
So,
I it's funny with Harrison Butker cuz last season he was so inconsistent and frustrating to watch. And this year
right.
he's just been money. It's
Yeah, he's only missed 2 or whatever.
yeah. And
Those
one of
came
them
in
was
really inopportune times, but
yeah, one of them was in New England with deflated balls, but it wasn't the Patriots' fault. Just ask them.
but yeah, I'm interested on your opinion here because I'm at the point after the last 2 weeks, I don't think they're, you know, I don't think they have a very good shot to win a playoff game. I don't
I've
think they're gonna make it very far, and that's why I'm more frustrated after a win than I should be. Because this whole season, just I don't think they're gonna win. They might win a first one. I mean, we'll get to that in a second, but who they're gonna play. But
so I have been honestly for about a month. I have been like this
not
team
good enough.
needs to not think about the 1 seed. This team needs to make sure that they make the playoffs
Right,
because that's probably the wild card weekend is probably as far as they're going
right.
unless their defense is just insane, which there's no reason to think that it'll just all of a sudden collapse. But obviously, not to sound like a broken record, like the offense is just not good enough for me to feel like they can go down and win a game if they need to. And so, yeah, and I know they get to host a playoff game, but there's really no home field advantage at Arrowhead right now. They're 4-4, and they seem to play better on the road this season in particular anyway. But early on in the game, I was like, honestly, at this point, I'm like, just save us the embarrassment and miss the playoffs altogether because this is ridiculous.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one. I was
Yeah,
super frustrated this
I
game.
was I was kind of I was over it for a second, but
Yeah.
yeah, this team does not feel like they have a deep playoff run in them. This season just feels like it's the Ravens Super Bowl to lose at this point.
Well, I'm glad I brought this up because you are right. That if the defense can just completely ball out and we get some Mahomes magic, that's really their only shot. at winning multiple playoff games and winning a Super Bowl this year because they've been that bad, and that's why it's so frustrating to be a fan of the Chiefs and Mahomes, and you're like, I don't even think they're gonna win one playoff game. Like they dominated their own division, and that's great because even as bad as this team is, they still, with 1 week left, sealed the deal. Like that's still how bad the other three teams are. But how long is that going to last? Hopefully the other teams will, make them better as they get better. But
I mean, the weird part about it is the Raiders don't have a quarterback. The Broncos they've got their own situation going on with Russell Wilson. Probably don't have a quarterback going into next season. After the abysmal season that the Chargers have had, they're still kind of, in my opinion, the biggest threat because they at least have stability at the quarterback position. Albeit, I think Justin Herbert's a little bit overrated. I think he's a good quarterback. I think it's going to take getting a coach that's not a complete buffoon for him to have success. But I still think that the other three teams are a mess, and the Chiefs will likely be better at the wide receiver position next year, just based off of Brett Veach's track record. Whenever you get completely embarrassed. I mean, just look at the offensive line in that Super Bowl against the Bucks. He turned around and overhauled that offensive line in one off season. I don't know if he can do that with the wide receivers this year, but I mean, go draft one, go pick up a veteran free agent, just get some stability there for Patrick Mahomes. And I think this team can come back next year and be even better. Because I mean, we've talked about it. Don't drop a pass here, don't drop a pass there, don't line up offsides there, don't have a drive killing penalty here on offense, and this team's a 13 or 14 win team. Like that's just that's how stupid it is that it's just it's one play that could have gone differently. And I know you could do what ifs all day long, but that's what it is. It's just like a complete lack of details and not playing fundamental football. And that's not what we've been accustomed to with the Chiefs in the Patrick Mahomes era. So,
right. There's other factors too, where like the offensive line, you keep hearing about how great, run blocking they are and a good, core in general. They have these really good PFF grades, but they can't pass block. Mahomes is running for his life half the time. He doesn't trust him. Like he's always. I saw him twice this last game where he's like looking behind. He's like, "Is there someone behind me?"
Yeah,
He doesn't have that trust like he's had before.
Yeah, you had that report earlier last week or this week that he was kind of drifting in the pocket, and that's that's goes back to his Texas Tech days where he was running for his life there as well. And I think the O-line's been mostly fine this season. I think they were completely awful against the Raiders last week, but I think the whole team I think the team needed that rock bottom game to move forward, but I still don't think it's enough. Like, yeah, you beat the Joe Burrow-less Bengals, and it took a not a huge effort, but it took more effort than it probably should have to get that done.
Yeah, that was another one in a multitude of things of why I was so frustrated. So I'm like, if Burrow was out there, they would have scored 40 points or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Yeah, that's another what if game where it's just like, who knows what Burrow plays like when he gets here. It's like you never know. But, we know how good he is. And Jake Browning was making him look bad. So
yeah. I also
that's
just
why
think
it's like, they're just not good enough.
Jake Browning made some good throws, but I do think
He did.
I think Jake Browning is a product of Zach Taylor being a really good coach.
Okay.
And I think, not to belittle like Joe Burrow, but I, the Bengals, obviously, they're missing the playoffs, but like, I'm not going to say they haven't skipped a beat without Burrow, but they've played pretty good
Yeah,
football
they played
without Joe
really good.
Burrow. So, and I mean, the whole league, though, is kind of like this is the year of the backup quarterback. So,
Mm-hmm.
kind of a weird season.
Right.
I think there was something like 11 of the 16 AFC starters this week were backup quarterbacks.
Right.
Can we talk about Jamar Chase for a second?
Sure.
Yeah, that guy's a goofball. he's he's in his post game. Somebody's asking questions about L'Jarius Sneed, and he's like, "Yeah, I got under his skin. He won't fight me though." And that's to paraphrase. Like, dude, he just ended your season. You had like 3 catches for 40 yards. Get
Yeah.
out of here. Like you're going home and you're gonna be on the couch in January. Chiefs will probably join you soon, but you know that's neither here nor there.
I saw that clip too, and I'm like, this guy. Well, his trash talking before the game was already like childish, and like I literally like the way he spoke. Like it was like false confidence, like where he's like trying to talk trash, but he's like he doesn't even believe what he's saying. Like he's trying to act tough, but he really isn't. And that's not like coming from a Chiefs fan. It's like it's just the way he's obviously still a very young guy. He's got some growing to do, and that's fine. He's a really good receiver. But yeah, he gets basically shut down. And they're like, well, what were you and Snead talking about? And yeah, his only response was like, oh, well, he basically wouldn't fight me on the field, which is what I was trying to do to rile him up so I could have a better game, is basically what he was saying.
Yeah.
Like that's just,
Yeah, that's your
get out of here,
tactic.
guy.
L'Jarius Sneed has been locking up number 1 wide receivers all season long. He's not going to get phased
No.
by whatever you have to say. So funny. I don't know. The Bengals they're a weird bunch of people over there. So, but yeah, so all in all, Chiefs come out victorious. They finish with a 4-4 record at home. Make the postseason, clinch the AFC West. Now we head into week 18. Chiefs are going on the road against the Easton Stick Chargers. Should should the Chiefs rest for week 18? They're pretty much locked in at 3. So give this
Yeah.
team a chance to rest. Give them some time to get right. Where are you at?
No, I think you, other than Kelsey getting the 1,000-yard season,
Yeah.
which he needs like 16 yards or something.
Yeah, you just give him 1 or 2 catches and he should be there.
Right. And then there was talk of like, Rice or whoever else, they might need a few catches to make their 1,000-yard season or something, and then
Just
that's
give
about it. Like rest the entire defense, and most of the offense.
Yeah, let Blaine Gabbert target Marquez Valdez Scantling like 15 times. Just like the whole game. Just target.
Yeah, get
just
him out of
target him.
the season-long slump that
Yeah.
he's in or whatever
Yeah.
he's doing.
That's what he needs.
That's actually interesting. Vegas has this at Chargers -2. So they're expecting the Chiefs to rest everyone.
Yeah.
Is what that looks like.
Yep.
And the over-under is 35. So
yeah. I think get some of these guys that need the reps and just let the starters rest. And then go into that super wildcard weekend rested up and ready to go, and hopefully in a better spot as a team, because clearly there's issues. So let them get together, because you don't want to go into the postseason a complete mess.
Well, I think it doesn't matter what they do. Like they're in the 3 seed and it doesn't affect anything.
Yep.
So there'd be no benefit to play anybody, honestly.
Yep. So we can't have a week in the NFL without some controversy involving the referees. Saturday night, Monday Night Football on a Saturday night. Dallas Cowboys hosted the Detroit Lions. Cowboys are trying to go undefeated at home this season, trying to finish 8-0 at home. And we had a little bit of a mess regarding an eligible or a lineman reporting as an eligible receiver. And you look at all the videos, and it's pretty clear that the Lions did exactly what they were supposed to do and report to the referee. And the Lions converted on this 2-point conversion that their lineman reported to the referee on. And there was a flag for an ineligible receiver downfield. And the 2-point conversion got negated. And the Dallas Cowboys, they won in a game that they probably shouldn't have. And it's just every week that, we just can't have nice things because of these referees.
It is extremely frustrating to watch that, because that wasn't the only call that they blew that game. There was some tripping call that they got wrong. They called it on the wrong team. This officiating crew is led by Brad Allen, and this is from Warren Sharp on Twitter. He says he's called 3 primetime games this year. This was one of them. With this call, there was the non-call on the defensive pass interfering. That was on MVS as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was on MVS. Which
the Packers.
Yeah, he wouldn't have caught it anyway. So
he wouldn't have caught it anyway. But we'll blame the refs for that one. And then there was the ridiculous where I think that was the next week, because I remember wanting to make a point of this, because they called 10 penalties against Miami and 0 on Philly. And I'm like, what is going on? Now, to kind of skip to the end of my point, because I do want to get into a little bit of what they got wrong here, but a lot of people are, they always are like, oh, it's rigged, NFL's rigged and blah, blah, blah. It's not rigged. The refs are just that bad. And that's the main problem. That's the point I want to take away here, is the refs, they have a hard job. But in this instance, what was his name? Taylor Decker. He's number 68.
Yep.
Yeah. They said on the microphone, they told the defense personally, because I didn't know this was even a thing, but they go tell the defense face to face, like, hey, number 70 is eligible as a receiver this play. And then they say it over the loudspeaker as well. And they said number 70, and the Lions didn't correct them. So there is that. But, on video, you see number 68. He not only tells the referee, but he swipes his hand across his numbers, which is also something I learned. So you swipe your hand across your numbers saying, hey, I'm eligible to receive on this next play. Okay, and you can clearly see that number 68 did that. And what it comes down to is they say the wrong guy, because normally number 70 is the guy that the Lions use as the eligible receiver. That's normally who they say. If they're going to say that at all, it's number 70. I can't remember that dude's name, but that's who they use. And they did that on purpose, because they always use number 70. So we're going to use number 68 this time and throw him off. That's a part of the trick play part of this. It's a thought. They thought this through. That was a part of the plan, to trick them. The problem is, like, whenever the refs tell them, hey, number 70 is it, they can't just go back and then say, oh, well, we screwed up. The Lions, so the point is, like, it's not like New York could call in and be like, hey, you guys screwed it up. It was, they actually did call that right. Or, the Lions did what they were supposed to, and you should give them the point. They can't do that. The refs told Dallas, hey, number 70 is going to be a receiver. So they would be at a huge disadvantage at that point. So we can't go back and do that. The problem is there's no accountability. Like nothing's going to happen now that they've screwed up. That's the whole issue here is the NFL just lets this slide, a $10 billion industry. And this is the referees we have to deal with.
Yep. Another week, another blunder. I will go back to what I probably have said multiple times this year, and the referees need to do a press conference and do something or have to answer questions and get pressed and be like, because it's just, I know they miss calls throughout the entire game, but
Yes.
it's why is it just consistently, oh, here's critical moment in the game. We're going to miss a call, or we're going to all of a sudden start calling something that we've just left alone all season. And it's just again, it's a $10 billion industry. We got to do better. And I hope that this season, with all of the controversy each week and all of the memos that the NFL has had to send out to teams regarding whatever penalty, I hope that the NFL takes a good long look at the state of their officiating and addresses it and fixes it going into the 2024 season.
Yeah, that would be all we ask at this point, and we could just move on. Because if it was just more results based, like if you're just that bad, then you get demoted or fined or something. I mean, NFL players get fined for the littlest stuff, and it's like $50,000 or $100,000 or whatever. Well, they got 50,000 for calling the refs out.
You can't say anything bad about the refs. That's
Right.
problem number one. I don't think that you should
Right.
be able to get up on a mic and just bash the refs, but like I feel like you should be able to go, you know what? The refs were kind of terrible today.
Right.
And like you shouldn't get in trouble for that. It is what it is. Hey, they were bad out there. They missed multiple plays. They cost us here. They cost us there. And I know that's we should have executed here better. But listen, we would have been in a better spot if the referee didn't do this, or if the referees did do this. And
I mean,
they
it cost
can't.
them the game.
They say
It
that.
literally cost them a win.
They say that, and they get a $50,000 fine to the charity of their choice. Like it's ridiculous. But Dallas ultimately won the game. Jimmy Johnson got put in the Ring of Honor for the Cowboys. And Dallas, if they win, they're the 2 seed, because the 1 seed is no longer available. The 1 seed is no longer available in either conference because the Ravens put a whooping on the Miami Dolphins and clinched the number 1 seed for the AFC. And then the 49ers bounced back and clinched the number 1 seed in the NFC. So, in my opinion, the 2 1 seeds that's probably the Super Bowl matchup, if I had to guess. And we already kind of saw a preview of it, obviously, earlier this week or last week. But I think that's a Super Bowl matchup. Also, I think I know like 2 weeks ago we were like, Brock Purdy's the MVP. But then he had that terrible game, and Lamar Jackson's been absolutely insane since.
Right.
Lamar Jackson is probably the MVP.
So he went 18 for 21, 321 yards, and 5 touchdown passes. Okay. It just an absolute beating. I watched this game, and the Dolphins, I mean, were barely there. I mean, they're kind of banged up, but so is everybody. It's kind of what you got to say. It's the NFL. Quite honestly, you really can't look to like your team getting, hurt. Because the Dolphins, they looked competitive, to open up the game in the first quarter, but after that, they just kind of a no-show. And then, the Ravens just took over, and with last week, against the Niners, was that last week or the week before?
It was a Christmas Day game.
Yeah. They I still think that Niners are more explosive, and I don't know. Well, we'll get into this in the playoffs, but I think the Niners might have a slight edge, but that's going to be an excellent game because I think you're right. That probably will be the Super Bowl preview that we already saw, because I don't see many teams stopping either of these guys. But yeah, the going back to Dallas, they have a better record than Philly. All they have to do is beat the Commanders, and they win that division, making Philadelphia the sixth, their fifth seed, right?
They would probably be the 5th seed. Philadelphia is a
Right.
disaster right now. Like, you think that the Chiefs, like, you're frustrated as a Chiefs fan.
Right.
The Phillies are a mess.
Yeah,
They're a
I
mess.
I got one note on them. The
The
Eagles
Phillies,
defense
the
sucked.
Eagles. I was in
The
baseball
Phillies.
mode.
There you
Eagles are a mess.
go. The Eagles against the Cardinals. They gave up 29 points that game in the second half, I should say.
That's that
Since they made
Matt Patricia rocket science
Yeah, here we go.
defense.
Since they made the switch to Matt Patricia, they've allowed 17 or more points in the second half of the last 3 games. Okay. Why on earth is that dude running the show?
Because he has
Like, what's
he
going on?
because he has a pencil behind his ear and he's a rocket scientist, obviously. The
I forgot
dude
about that.
the dude rode Bill Belichick's coattails in New England. He was a
Right.
terrible head coach in Detroit, was taking
Awful.
shots at members of the press
Mhm.
and so like
Throwing his own players on the bus
telling
half the time.
yeah, awful. I don't even know how the dude's still around. But he is, and
Yeah.
he's ruined a really good Eagles team in the second half of the season.
Well, I mean, I think that's mostly just coaching overall with the Eagles. I mean, that might be their current problem. Or Jalen Hurts is hurt. I don't know. Haven't really followed too closely, but that's a mess too. You're absolutely right with the frustration their fans must be feeling. So I mean, they were that close, and now they're not even going to win their own division this year. Like that's really crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, a team that, I mean, same way as the Chiefs when we went into the season, it was wow. Chiefs Eagles Super Bowl 2.0 back
Right.
to back,
Right.
and
Yeah.
both just were like unstoppable and then just hit a wall. But I don't know. And it just this is a weird season, and weirdness kind of continues. So the season finale of the NFL on Sunday Night Football this week is the Bills going to Miami with the division on the line. The Bills, in my opinion, they kind of have, I'd say they're kind of the opposite of the Chiefs. Like we were taught for a while, we were like, dude, the Bills aren't even going to make the playoffs. They're terrible. And
Yeah.
then they just are like, boom, they flipped a switch and we're like, oh, the Bills, oh, they might be the 7 seed. They could be a wild card team. Like, let's see.
Or totally miss.
Yeah, or totally miss altogether, which is still kind of possible, but not likely. But there's a real good shot that after Sunday, the Bills are the 2 seed in the AFC.
Yeah.
So the Bills have really come on strong and they're playing great football when you're supposed to. So they are kind of a dark horse in the playoffs for me. Outside of Baltimore obviously is the favorite. I mean, I want to be like, oh yeah, the Chiefs can make a run, but I don't have it in me. The Bills are a team that I'm like, they're hot.
Right.
They obviously they had all the mess with Stephon Diggs and their locker room and Sean McDermott and his weird 9/11 references coming out.
Yeah.
But
Well, they fired their OC and then actually turned it around.
it's exactly what they did. That's the day or that's the next game
Yeah.
It was like a different team altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And they have like, they're kind of the same as the Chiefs. Like they lost to the Bills in OT, but something, uh, uh, Gabe Davis goes to the right spot in the end zone there. You go to the week 1, their loss to the Jets. The Jets had that walk-off punt return. So it's just, again, like a couple things go different for them, and they're in contention for the 1 seed. And going back to earlier this season, the Bills hosted the Dolphins. The Dolphins were kind of the talk of the town at this point. Dolphins are going to run the East. Dolphins are the best. 2 of this, 2 of that. Tyreek Hill, rightfully so. They were high-powered offense. I don't know if they had just hung 70 on the Broncos at that point, but the Dolphins offense they were rolling. So Bills are like, yeah, come to our place. We'll show you what's up. And the Bills win 48-20. And that win is why the Bills are in a position, if they win, that they'll have the same record as Miami, but they will have head-to-head over them. And that is why they would win the AFC East.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you are correct. They had just played the Broncos and dropped 70 on them, and then played the Bills, who the Bills dropped 48 on them. Right back at you, Dolphins.
yeah.
But yes, the Dolphins are in no matter what. Like they're in the playoffs, but they could lose their division if Buffalo beats them, and then then that's it. But yeah, Buffalo could lose, like not even make the playoffs if they if they lose and either the Steelers or the Jags lose, which is a very strange scenario. But they really need to win to be in control of their own destiny there. Obviously, they would much rather win to have that higher seed, but there is a very strange outcome where they could somehow not make the playoffs.
Yeah, and honestly, Tua left the game on Sunday against the Ravens with a shoulder injury. So I don't really know where he stands right now, but that could be a factor going into next week. The Dolphins also lost Bradley Chubb. He had to get carted off, and he's done. So
yeah, it's Tuesday night. I haven't heard anything on Tua yet, but
yeah, definitely going to be interesting. And I just think this game kind of leans. Like this game has Buffalo winning, going on the road and winning all over it, written all over it.
right.
So gonna be a fun ending to the season. This is the most. There's like 22 teams or something.
Still,
They were in
yeah,
contention. That's like the most since 1982 or something
right.
crazy. So it's definitely been an entertaining season, and it's wild that it's already about to wrap up. I feel like it just started, but
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl's going to be here before we know it. We're just a little over a month out from that. And man, I'm excited to see what goes down, not only this week, but obviously throughout the playoffs. That is, one more thing. My podcast, The Merge Feast, will be returning this week to do some off-season Survivor content. So if you're a fan of the show Survivor, season 46 is not here. Obviously, season 45 just wrapped, but we got some fun stuff planned in the meantime. So our latest episode of the Merge Feast will be out Friday, the 5th. So look for that if you're a fan of Survivor.
I'm a fan of your show, and that is news to me. I'm learning that as we. So I'm not excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We got some fun shows lined up with some, I think, interesting ideas while we're anxiously awaiting our season 46. So But that's all we have this week on the Football Kingdom podcast. Thank you for listening each and every week. Got a wild week 18 ahead of us. We'll see you next time.
Later.